What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo. Tonight, we are talking Echo Theory-Palooza. With Echo just coming up in a few short days, we're talking about what we think we're going to see when those 5 episodes drop Tuesday night. Before we get into all that, Dave, Doug, how's it going, gentlemen?
I am grand, and I'm not going to waste any more time. We have so much to get to in so little time. So, Doug, how are you?
Well, Dave, let me tell you, I am outstanding. And I'm tempering my expectations, but I am looking forward to Echo. I think based on what we've seen so far, it looks like it might be good. However, I will admit, and I know you're going to have to reel me in a little bit when we get to our theories, but I think I made the mistake of accidentally hoping that it fits a certain comic narrative that I know the MCU is really bad about.
That is an accident.
I can't help it. I can't help it. But Keith, sir, how are you?
I am tremendous. Like you, I am looking forward to this. You know, this had a really wild ride for this show because we originally heard how bad this was, and then they were going to release it all in one day, and then it was doing
Oh yeah.
reshoots, and then we got the trailer, and it's like we saw the trailer, and we're all like, "Whoa, that
Whoa.
looked pretty good." You know, and it's this
Like,
Marvel Spotlight thing that they're doing. That's kind of more grounded aspect, kind of away from the whole multiversal thing. It's TVMA, and it looked very, very much like the Daredevil series on Netflix. And we did find
which
out from one of the
good.
trailers that Daredevil from Netflix is canon. Once again, whether it's the multiversal canon or if it is part of the 616 movie universe, you know, we'll still have to find out. But I'm excited for Tuesday. And a few months ago, before the trailer dropped, I was dreading watching this show. So I'm getting excited. But we should get into some theories.
Now, real quick, for those of you that are watching us and that are in the chat, if you were hoping that Keith's news of the Daredevil and the other Netflix stuff being canonized, and you think that Iron Fist is now also going to be canon, I am sorry to say that that can't happen because it didn't exist. They never actually made an Iron Fist show. Sorry.
Iron Fish?
Just so
Yeah.
you know, I have a
Might
theory
as
that
well,
ties into Iron Fist. We'll talk later on. So Iron Fist will be canon by the end of Echo. How about I
Oh,
say
boy.
that?
You can say that.
Oh
Okay.
no. Dang. First because I didn't like Battlestar Galactica. Now I'm talking bad about her.
More than
Doug,
Iron
you're
Fist.
trending down.
I know. Shoot, you guys are gonna have to fire me. Get on somebody that Carrie actually likes.
So let's talk theories. I think
All right.
from some of the things we've seen, I've kind of rewatched the trailers and some of the stuff they show. I think this is going to obviously take place. We're going to see flashbacks because obviously we've seen young Maya and we see the things, you know, her being raised by the Kingpin because we know why she's being raised by the Kingpin. But I think a lot of this is going to take place after Hawkeye. And spoiler alert for Hawkeye, we know at the end of Hawkeye she realizes that, you know, the Kingpin actually killed her father, and then she kind of shoots him. Not really shoots him, but shoots a gun near him, and it damages his eye and things of that.
Shoots a gun near him.
And I think this is what I think is going to happen. This is kind of an overarching thing. We've seen the theory where she said, you know, the king has been around too long. We need a queen. I think the show is going to start out with her trying to replace the Kingpin as the head of this sort of family and kind of take control of Kingpin's group, mafia. I don't know what you want to call it.
Bros.
And I think that's, you know, we've seen the fight scene with Daredevil kind of in that warehouse a little bit where they're going at it. And I think the reason she's fighting Daredevil is because she's trying to take over the Kingpin's territory and be the new, you know, Queenpin of crime or whatever it's going to be. And they're at odds. But I think throughout this series, she's going to learn a lot about her, you know, Native American history and things. And she is going to find out that what she's doing is kind of wrong, and she's going to turn and become a hero by the end of it. She's going to delve into her history, and she's going to gain a few powers from it. She's not going to be the Echo we know from the comics. We already know that the showrunner said they didn't want to just do a photographic reflexes type thing, and this is going to delve into a lot of Native American history, customs, and things like that. And I think she's going to come out at the end of it as not trying to take over for the Kingpin, but stopping it. And I think we know Daredevil's going to be in it, and from what we've heard, he's going to be in the first episode and one of the last episodes. And I think she's going to go from battling Daredevil at the beginning to kind of working with him at the end, almost like her arc was in the comics.
I like it. I mean, it seems like they got. How long are the episodes? Are they all an hour long?
We don't.
Or do we know? We have no idea. But either way, let's say they're all an hour long or 40 minutes, whatever. We're getting a 5-hour backstory on her to really fully flesh out this character. I think that's going to be great. Like I said it. Well, I guess I didn't say it earlier in this video, but that I hope they have that fight that you guys were talking about, where she lures Daredevil into the warehouse with all the noises, and then he figures it out too on her. I think that will be amazing. Even if they separate it into 2 scenes, 2 shows or whatever,
It'll be fine.
It'll be amazing.
Yeah,
and
sorry, I was just going to say, just give a little to what Dave is talking about in the comics. Echo Maya realizes that Daredevil is blind, and he's using echolocation and like a radar sense, and she takes him to a very populated area with construction and stuff going on that totally gives her the advantage. But he also finds out that she's deaf, and he takes her to a pitch black room where she can't use any of her things. So it was a really good back and forth with them learning each other's weaknesses and battling. Sorry to interrupt, Dave. I just wanted to give that backstory to the chat.
No, that's perfectly fine. That's what you're here for, man. All right. Yeah. And yeah, basically I think that's what it's going to be. I think we're going to see a lot more of Kingpin than I originally thought, just by looking at the trailers, which is awesome, because Vincent D'Onofrio was born to play this role, and the more we see of him, they do villains so well in the MCU, and I hope this is just the beginning for these characters, and they're able to expand past this, because they're not going to kill Wilson Fisk at the end of this. I mean, they didn't kill him at the end of Hawkeye, which was good. I don't know. I don't like how they led it up to to lead it on to make people think that he was killed. I don't like that, because there's no way you can kill the Kingpin. You know what I mean? That, especially that early in his career, I guess. But
and just so you know, the showrunner talked about how Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin, is going to be basically the Thanos of the street level MCU moving forward.
He should be.
Yes, please.
That's how he was.
Everybody wants it.
Yeah. Yeah, and then until they bring in Luke Cage and Cottonmouth and all that stuff, I don't know. I'm looking for a lot more forward to it than I did when I first heard about the show. That's my TED talk. You go ahead.
There's plenty they can get into. You're right. I mean, we get 5 hours to kind of learn, a lot of her history with the Kingpin. They have a lot of time to really develop, Maya's character, and even more so, give us more of Wilson Fisk. Who, I mean, you could never get enough. When you said that, Vincent D'Onofrio was born to play it, he was so great in the Netflix Daredevil series. I mean, he was, when I was a boy, I mean, he would just talk, and he just radiated his presence, and it was nuts, just how well he did with that. And I can't wait to get more of that.
You can understand easily why in the Daredevil series, why he would dive into politics, because, you are absolutely right. The way that he's able to, whoops, I said absolutely.
Oh.
You are right in the fact that he can kind of control a room with his voice. I'll tack on to the TED Talk that's been going on. If you have not gone back and watched the Netflix Daredevil series, you really should. It's so good.
Especially if this plays into it. If this is like season 4 of Daredevil or whatever, or
Well, I don't know if it's
4.5.
going to be that.
Like the
But-
Mandalorian and Boba Fett type of thing.
But the story that Dave was talking about, that Keith added a little bit onto, the story that Dave was talking about, the fight scene that we were suggesting that we hope is in the show. Again, another recommendation: please go pick up, read legally a copy of Daredevil: Parts of a Whole. That is that's a graphic novel that combines all of the best Echo issues of Daredevil, and it was Daredevil number 9 through 12 in their 1998 run. So even if you can only find the individual Daredevil comics, again, it's issues 9 through 12 from their 1998 run. Such an excellent story. I mean, when we were we did an in focus. We did an in focus on Echo, and I ended up reading through those comics, while I was looking up information about Echo. And I mean, it was such a good read. The story that Dave told you, that, the fight scene, where they basically find out each other's weaknesses. Daredevil lures Echo into a dark sort of factory area where he's got the advantage, and where she would normally rely on her sight. She can't see anything, but she also takes him out to a loud playground construction zone sort of area where there's a train running and a lot of jackhammers and everything, and so it's overwhelming his hearing, which is what he would normally rely on. It's just such a good read, and it's also where we do get the scene that we saw in Hawkeye, where she shoots the gun near Kingpin. That actually took place in that graphic novel. Because in the story, I won't spoil too much of it, but it does start off with Kingpin telling Echo, hey, if you want to know who killed your dad, it was actually Daredevil. So you should go find him.
Oh, kind of like a Black Widow. I forget her name. Why can't I think of her name? But the gravesite.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
Friends.
Valentina
Valentina.
Allegra,
Yeah, don't call it that, though.
whatever her name is.
Yes, but just like that, sending him in the wrong direction.
Yeah, but yeah, it's an excellent read. I recommend it highly. And that kind of brings me into my theory.
Oh, here it comes.
So, I think this is my theory. I think Marvel at this point kind of knows what the direction that they need to take things to get people interested more in their TV shows. And I think they learned this, believe it or not, from She-Hulk.
Oh boy.
I think they know that when they tease an appearance of a fan favorite character like Daredevil, like Kingpin, they know, hey, you know what? We got to give them enough screen time to make all the teasing worth it. And so, even though they're saying, oh yeah, Daredevil, he's going to have a little bit of a cameo, even though this is the Echo show, I think we're going to get a lot more with Daredevil. And my theory is that they're going to adapt a lot of that graphic novel that I just told you guys about, because they're already kind of on the track of that. So I think that that's going to be, they're going to work some of the storylines into that, and that is how Echo is going to confront Daredevil. And I think that's why we're going to see him show up. So my theory is they're going to, hopefully, adapt some of the parts from that comic into this series.
I dig it. I hope you're right.
is Kingpin going to say to her, Daredevil killed him at my behest, basically?
I'm thinking so. I'm thinking that it's going to be, she's going to be looking for someone to blame, because you see her at one point sitting down, he wants to have a discussion with her, hey, we need to talk. And I'm betting that's at the point where he's like, look, you can think that, sure, I'm a bad guy by all means, but I didn't kill your dad. Daredevil did. And he's always bothering me. That and Spider-Man. No. That would be fun to get him in there too.
By the way, no, we won't tangent time just yet. I do like that theory, but we have something about Spider-Man to talk about a little bit later.
Okay.
So my other theory, and this is the crazy one.
Okay.
Okay,
So Dave, get your fishing pole ready.
I'm going to cast it. I don't know if I'm going to reel
Get
it
ready
in.
to slam on those brakes.
Yeah, yes. So while kind of rewatching some of the Echo stuff, they keep calling her Little Dragon
Mm-hmm.
and talking about, her martial arts and stuff. I think she might become the MCU's Iron Fist.
Ooh,
There you go,
that's
Carrie.
interesting.
Because I think they
No
want to
more
veer
though.
away from, obviously, the Netflix shows. Ward was great, Carrie, please don't point five me. But I think they may bring it in, because the showrunner said a lot that he wants to separate her from the comic book, only because, Taskmaster has the photographic reflexes and stuff, so they're bringing this about. And I think she may, because she comes to Phoenix in the comics, but I think they may give her the Iron Fist. I think we'll see Danny Rand later on, but I think they may bring in the Iron Fist this way into the MCU and then be able to pass it to Danny Rand or someone else later. But I think she may, by the end of this, have the power of Kung Long in the Iron Fist.
I am going to lightly tap on my brakes and turn on the hazard lights because I think that's a little too out there for the MCU.
It's out there. Basing it on calling her Little Dragon, I know. But it kept itching in the back of my brain about it. I'm like, I'm going to talk about it because
I could see somebody in their writer's room pitching that, but then I can also see, like, Kevin Feige coming in and being like, no, shut that shit down now.
But see, and that the way I think it ties in is once she figures out that I don't want to be like the Kingpin, I don't want to be like my adoptive father.
Mm-hmm.
I need to use, my powers for good. Is when she will be accepted as the Iron Fist.
Dave, thoughts?
So no Danny Rand in the MCU whatsoever.
I think eventually he'll be there. I think this is the way they introduce the Iron Fist and the the ancient weapons of Kung Long without having Danny Rand yet.
So she'll just pass it on to him later or something?
Yes.
Okay, I'm feeling a tug on the line. I'm leaving it out there. So I'm not reeling that in.
Nice.
All right. And Carrie, I can see it.
It's like, all right, I gotta admit it. You're probably right.
Well, since we all
Any other
agree
final
it won't
theories,
happen.
Well,
Right, because we have found out through our 6 years and 2 months of doing this that we have far more creative ideas sometimes than the MCU does. So,
which is a shame.
Well, you think sometimes budget restraints, things of that nature, which you would hope they would creatively get around, but they do sometimes. But hopefully, the MCU has been somewhat in a lull where people are expecting a whole lot more and are not getting it. So they may start pushing the envelope a little bit. And I don't know if it's this, because obviously this was, recorded a while ago. This has been, something that has been written and finished for some time. We may not get it, but I think they're going to move towards that to try to get back that MCU magic they had, where it was, can't miss. And it doesn't seem like that's, we don't miss anything. But for the most part, I think the casual viewer is, yeah, we can miss this sort of stuff. And I think if they start getting a little more wild and a little more, it'll bring people back in.
do you think any of this will play into the Daredevil Born Again series?
Yes, I do.
If you want to get into a little theory of mine, I think about Daredevil Born Again, which I think will be coming out of this. I think by the end of the series, we may see Kingpin running for mayor of New York. And why I think that is because they had a series called Devil's Reign.
Mm-hmm.
And what he did, he became the mayor and he outlawed vigilantes. And And one of the things that I like that he did is he incorporated some supervillains as his thunderbolts.
Yeah,
Hmm.
So if
Bullseye.
Yep, Bullseye, Scorpion, Venom wasn't well, not Eddie Brock Venom, but so they had a few people, the Rhino. So it was almost like a Sinister Six. Sorry, Sony, but but he would use them to kind of, bring in heroes, and I think we may see his mayoral campaign run through Daredevil Born Again and kind of become mayor, and I do think this will lead into Spider-Man 4. And I think we will see the Kingpin with his, they won't call him the Thunderbolts because we know we're getting a different Thunderbolts here. But he will outlaw the Daredevils, the Spider-Men of the world, the Echoes, all of that. And he'll have his team of supervillains patrolling to watch for him. And I do think we will see Daredevil and Spider-Man team up to take on the Kingpin in Spider-Man 4. And one of the best things about this
I've
is
been dying to see that.
everybody wants to see it. They would be silly not to do it. And one of the things that has been coming out is that they have a new front runner for who they want to direct Spider-Man 4.
Mm-hmm.
Drew
Yeah,
Goddard,
that is.
who did the Daredevil Netflix series.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
No longer John Watts. They want, and I saw that and I was like,
Interesting.
if this is made up, I hope Marvel sees it and says, we've got to do it because everyone's dying for it. We want to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Their little tease with Matt Murdock and No Way Home only lit that fuse for everybody.
Oh my
I
gosh,
want
yes.
them to do it so bad. I like to be surprised by things, but you don't have to surprise me on this. Give us Devil's Reign with Mayor Kingpin, have Daredevil and Spider-Man teaming up, and I will just throw all my money at you guys, seeing it as much as I possibly can. So I know
Love the
I know-
catch. I'm a really good lawyer.
yeah. And I know Dave's buddy Kevin Feige is probably watching. Please give us what we want, sir.
Yes, you have time. Do it.
I remember if you go back and you watch our one of our Theory-Paloozas of what would eventually become No Way Home, we were really theorizing because I remember we were going off of like some of the scenes that we saw at the end of Far From Home. We didn't really know what the whole plot was going to be. We didn't know that it was going to do the whole Spider-Verse and all of that. So I remember we were theorizing, well, what do you think they're talking about? What do you think that tall building is in the background? Oh, what if this is how they introduce Wilson Fisk to Spider-Man? Because this is something that we've talked about in our previous videos, and it's also in our Kingpin in Focus, that Kingpin was not only a good foil for Daredevil, but an excellent antagonist for Spider-Man too.
Mm-hmm.
And just so you know, Carrie mentioned in a thing, I'd love to see them surprise us with a Jess, Luke, Punisher, and Iron Fist.
Mm-hmm.
The rumor is that, well, Punisher has been confirmed for Daredevil Born Again. So we're getting John Bernthal
Good.
back as the Punisher, which, yes, everybody wants that. Great. The other rumor is that Jessica Jones will be back.
Awesome.
And part of the series with her is she is missing. And Daredevil finds her.
Hmm.
Now, that was before a lot of the writing revisions had went on. That was the rumor before that. But they do still believe that the Jessica Jones storyline is going to be in Born Again. So hopefully we get that. I hope, Kristen Ritter comes back as Jessica Jones, obviously.
That'd
John
be nice.
Bernthal.
She did a great
You
job.
know, if they get other actors for Luke Cage and Iron Fist, we're fine. But Ward Meacham, I definitely want, Ward Meacham. Yes,
Ward.
they do need to fix Luke Cage too. I mean that.
Oh yeah, that whole we talked about it before on here. If they had sandwiched those 2 seasons and take the 5 first episodes and the 5 last episodes and crunch them together, that probably would have been a complete season. But the way they killed off Cottonmouth so early was just the wrong move.
Who was such
That's
a
another
great
one
villain.
of those that, like, Luke Cage has so much potential to be such a deep and good character. And it was almost like an afterthought, I think. Because I think Netflix was pulling a Sony. And they wanted to hurry up and get to Defenders. And they knew they needed to tell Luke Cage's story to get there. They're like, oh, let's just hurry up and get this done. Let's last season of Game of Thrones this thing.
You're right.
Good analogy.
Well, any
So-
other theories or anything, gentlemen?
Well, I do want to go back and I want to touch on something else that you said earlier.
Sure.
You mentioned that in developing Kingpin, one of the theories was that he would essentially be like the Thanos of the street level heroes.
Mhm.
I want to just expand on that because I can totally see that happening. For those of you that were not around to watch the 90s Spider-Man series, that's basically what he was. The Kingpin was behind everything. In the 90s Spider-Man series, the Kingpin is the one who forms the Sinister Six. The Kingpin is the one who is behind funding a lot of the weird science experiments that create Spider-Man's villains. The Kingpin is the one who almost gets Daredevil disbarred. There was this one awesome scene where the Kingpin hires Peter Parker, not realizing that he's Spider-Man, hires Peter Parker to be an intern in one of his companies, so that way he can turn him into a patsy, basically make him take the fall for some nonsense that's going on, some science experiment that was going wrong, and he needed someone to pin it on. And so the police arrest Peter. Daredevil has to represent him in court, and Kingpin is like, "Well, I can't have this," and tries to get Kingpin disbarred. It's such an amazing animated arc, and it was just it's just a really good introduction to those characters, and I hope they do that with more of these, because this is something that, again, I hate to keep repeating myself, it's something that we've wanted to see. We want to see more Daredevil. We want to see Punisher. We want to see more of these grounded street level characters and kind of bring us back down to earth a little bit and see some of the villains, the good Rogues Gallery villains that we have available here. Not everything needs to be, a scary cloud that's going to eat planets.
And you know what part of Devil's Reign is, which I was talking about earlier? One of the ways that Kingpin Wilson Fisk convinced the people to vote for him, he uses the Purple Man. So imagine
That's perfect.
bringing back David Tennant.
Well, then it couldn't be.
It wouldn't be canon to the 616. Yes, it would have to be.
Yeah.
There was
you know who else?
Oh,
who
sorry,
else,
go ahead.
You know who else dealt with Wilson Fisk a lot that I hope is also in that show, but I doubt it. A movie that you're talking about would be, of course, Deadpool. I would love Deadpool to be involved in that movie as well, but I doubt it would happen.
You never know.
In a word, you never know.
There was, I don't remember which comic this was in, but when I was doing my research for the Kingpin in Focus, one of the things that I came across was Wilson Fisk is one of you brought up the Purple Man. He's one of the few people that cannot be controlled by the Purple Man. He's like totally impervious to it, but he played it off as if he was, just to kind of see what this guy was going to make him do. And then he grabbed him by the neck and threw him against a wall.
Yeah, let's hope they do the Kingpin justice in the MCU, because he can be one of the best villains out there. We still got him to delve into in the MCU. We still have Doctor Doom. There's so much to play out. I'm hoping it gets really good again, because Phase 4 and 5 have not been the same quality.
As good. Yeah, they haven't been as good as Phase 1 through 3.
Hey, anything else for Echo on Tuesday?
I don't think I have any other theories. I just hope it's good. I hope that I don't have to feel bad for being excited about something, a Marvel thing again.
Be ashamed when people, here's a video of you saying you were excited for it. Oh.
Yeah. That'll live on the internet forever.
Well,
Doug was excited to see Echo.
If it's good, we get this big chunk of a great show. And if it's bad, we aren't sentenced to 5 weeks of it.
Yeah, true.
Good point. Good point.
That is a really good point. Wow. Hey fellow nerds, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of this stuff, make sure that you check out our Twitch stream. We try to do these live Sunday or Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Keep an eye on our social media to find out when you can join in live and chat with us during these live streams. Also, as usual, don't forget to check out our other social media. Add us at Twitter, comment down below, and we'll see you next time right here on Not Your Status Quo.